Hello, everyone, and welcome in. First and foremost, let me thank you so much for choosing to spend your time here with me today, for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about something that I am so passionate about. Thank you again for being here in this space. You are here today because you were curious enough to show up. You were curious enough. You saw one of my posts on social media. You read an email that you got from me. You saw what was then included and said, maybe this is interesting. Let me go check it out. So thank you first and foremost for deciding to dig a little deeper and see what all the hubbub is about. I invited you to join me here today to learn more about the Fatherless Daughter Network and the different programs and opportunities that we have available, not only for you, but also if you're in this space for your organization or even your group. So before we jump into that, because there's a lot of information I'm going to cover today, but before we jump into that, I want to take just a minute and talk about what this is and what this is not, right? I want to level set and make sure that we're on the same page. So if you'll bear with me for just a moment, there we go, what this is. Today I'm going to share with you what a fatherless daughter is, some of the effects, the impact of being a fatherless daughter, and what we are doing within the Fatherless Daughter Network to help women and girls heal and move forward through love, through acceptance, and forgiveness. What this is not. This is not an open forum for blaming, complaining, or pointing fingers. Listen, I want to be very open and transparent about this because it's really easy for us to want to point fingers and to place blame when we are hurt, when we're coming from a place of hurt. It's very easy for us to want to point the finger and say, this is your fault. That's not what this is about today. Even when the blame is justified, that's not what this is about, because blame is not a solution for healing. It's not a solution for helping us to move forward. Fathers come in all forms. They come in all shapes and sizes. They come from all backgrounds. They come from all different walks of life. They come from all different, they come from their own set of circumstances. And they each have their own story. And so while you're here with me today, I just want to make sure that you understand that this is not a place where we are going to be judging. This is not a place where we are going to be condemning. And none of our programs are like that either. So I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page, because I feel like it's very important to get that out of the way at the beginning and level set. So now that we have that established, let's get into why you're really here. What is a fatherless daughter? How many of you were very new to that term? How many of you had ever heard that term before? I know I certainly hadn't. And when I thought about the term fatherless daughter, I kind of felt like it was, someone whose dad wasn't there, right? Like my mind immediately went to like an orphan, right? Who didn't have their father or even their mother, because an orphan would be, they didn't have their father or their mother. But that's kind of what I thought about. And so as you think about what does that mean to you, what kind of idea does that bring up for you, let me share with you how we define a fatherless daughter. It's defined as a female who grew up with an unattached, unavailable, or absent father. This one key missing element in a female's life can have real and negative consequences on her as she becomes a woman. We all have a biological father. We didn't get here without one. But when the term fatherless is used, it means that the father figure is not present in the daughter's life. He may be emotionally, physically, just simply unavailable, unattached, or absent altogether. And I will say it's not easy to cope with being a fatherless daughter. As human beings in general, we are wired, we are designed to crave to be loved and cared for, to be taken care of and cherished by those who brought us into this world. And I'll use myself as a real life example here. I was 2 when my parents got divorced and my father remarried. And I remember seeing him and like his new family, right? Because when he got married, the woman that he got married to had a son. And so it was like a built-in family, right? I remember going over there and seeing them pretty regularly when I was little, like every other weekend, which is kind of standard. But as I got older, those visits got fewer and further between. And I'm not really clear on why. Like, I can't remember, not to say it never happened, but I don't ever remember a time when, like, we sat down and had like this conversation about why there was a change happening. It could have, don't get me wrong, like it could have, and maybe I was just too little to remember. And I know that he was like, progressing in his career and they moved like further away from us. But anyway, there was never really, I don't recall a good, clear explanation given to me as to why I wasn't seeing my dad as much anymore. And for me, that created a void. It created like an emptiness that should have been filled by my father, but he wasn't there because I wasn't seeing him. And unfortunately, that led me on a path of searching for something that I couldn't find in the places that I was looking. Because oddly enough, or interestingly enough, I didn't actually know what I was looking for. I was searching, I know now, I was searching for the love and the belonging and the acceptance and the validation that I needed from my father. But I wasn't getting it, right? And so you can't find that in places outside of from your father. Anyway, I don't want you to misunderstand. I firmly believe that my father loved me then. I believe that he loves me now. And for whatever reason, there was an absence. And regardless of our feelings for each other, that absence in my life has had far-reaching and very profound effects on me. And so as we move into this a little bit further, I'm going to explain why that had such a profound effect on me and why it has such a profound effect on the many, many, many other women who have grown up as fatherless daughters. You see, we receive our identity through our paternal relationships, through the relationships that we have with our fathers, with our father figures in our lives, those paternal relationships and connections. But when that relationship is broken or the connection is poorly developed or it's missing altogether from a female's life, we spend our entire lives trying to discover who we are. Hello, have you heard all of this stuff I went on my own personal self-discovery journey over the last several years. I coach other women on how to go through that process. This has a lot to do with why I was in that position to begin with. We spend the rest of our lives trying to discover who we are, and we're searching for love and belonging and acceptance through paths that do not serve us. So let's take a look at some of the effects and the impact of being a fatherless daughter. A girl learns to love herself through the love that she sees reflected back to her in her father's eyes. This is how she develops her sense of self-confidence, her self-esteem. This is how she develops a healthy and positive expression of what love feels like. But when this is missing, because her father is absent or unattached, okay? They can be in the home and just simply not know how to relate to their daughters, simply not understand their importance in their father's or in their daughter's life. So this doesn't mean that like they're just gone, right? They can be in the home and just simply not know how to build that connection in that relationship. When the father is absent, unattached, or unavailable, it's extremely difficult for the daughter to develop a strong foundation, for her to build a healthy sense of self-worth, self-love, self-value. This foundation that we're talking about, whether it is strong because she has that positive, relationship with her father, or whether it is rocky because she doesn't. That is the foundation that is going to carry her into adolescence and adulthood. Girls who grow up without a father have little connection. Girls who grow up without their father or who have little connection with their fathers usually have difficulties in sustaining healthy relationships with men. I kind of feel like that's a no-brainer, but a lot of times we don't make that connection. Again, like I kind of feel like it's a no-brainer because of the training that I've had, because of the experience I've had in my life, because of the parts and pieces that I put together on my own before being introduced to the Fatherless Daughter Network. For me, that feels like a no-brainer. It was like a light bulb for me when I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes total and perfect sense, right? I wasn't able to establish what a good, healthy relationship is supposed to look like. So how would I know how to build them on my own? Makes sense. So, but this, with that, we struggle oftentimes to build those healthy, sustainable relationships with men. And that doesn't necessarily mean an intimate relationship. That can be with your coworkers as well. So just bear that in mind. That doesn't necessarily mean only an intimate relationship. They tend to suffer from issues such as abandonment, low self-esteem, sexual promiscuity, lack of trust, and they tend to depict men in a certain way. When the father-daughter relationship is broken, or she experiences rejection, emotional coldness, or withdrawal from him, her sense of self-worth will become tainted. If he simply is not available and does not provide for her needs, and that's something that we talk about throughout the program, is the needs that a daughter has that she needs to get from her father. If he does not provide for those needs, her self-confidence becomes warped or non-existent, and she may find herself lacking love, feeling unsafe, insecure, and unwanted. And there begins the making of a fatherless daughter. Now, to drive home the impact, like this isn't enough, but to drive home the impact of fatherlessness, let's take a look at some of these figures, some of these statistics that are up here on the screen. 8 times more likely to go to prison, 9 times more likely to drop out of high school, 20 times more likely to have behavioral problems, 32 times more likely to run away. A lot of these statistics are looking from an adolescent perspective, 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. There are 2 down here on the bottom, though, that really hit home, that really, I was just blown away when I saw them. 33 times more likely to be seriously abused, and 73 times more likely to be fatally abused. You know, we hear about domestic violence, we hear about the impact that that has, but oftentimes we don't dig into the root cause. And that's a whole different topic, both from the male and the female perspective on that. And we won't talk about that today because that's not part of why we're here. But a contributing factor to being in that position is self-worth, self-value, how we perceive ourselves on both sides of the coin. So what are your thoughts? As you look at these statistics, what are your feelings? Like, I feel like it's really easy for us to see. Based on what I've already said, based on what you see here on the screen, I feel like it's really easy to see why it's so important, why the father is so important in a daughter's life. Now, as we move on, we're going to talk about the symptoms of a fatherless daughter. Rage, anger, feelings of rejection and abandonment, I mentioned those earlier. Overdriven by success. This desire to do more and accomplish more and be more and like build this prestige of success so that we will be accepted, so that we will be enough. That is one that I see a lot in my clients. Trust and commitment issues, challenges with sex, shame, and intimacy, low self-image, low self-esteem, difficulty in sustaining healthy, lasting relationships. As you look at these symptoms here, I want to ask if you can relate to any of these. Because I personally can relate to every single one of them at some point in time in my life. Every single one of them. I will not bore you with the details, but every single one of these I can personally relate and attest to in my own life. And as I said earlier, we receive our identity through our paternal relationships and connections. And when our relationships with our fathers are damaged or missing, we spend the rest of our lives trying to discover ourselves and search for love through paths that do not serve us. Yet our pain will never heal until we heal our misplaced sense of identity. Because of this misplaced sense of identity, the feelings of rejection, our feelings of being unloved or unlovable, many fatherless daughters view themselves inaccurately. Our perception of ourselves is distorted. It's also often unchallenged, this distorted view that we have of ourselves, mainly because no one knows that we have it. But it's unchallenged, and it's often erroneous beliefs that are embedded in our subconscious minds. We hold a self-image that makes us think and believe that we are unloved and unlovable. Even when we have seemingly successful relationships, we never fully allow ourselves to be completely loved and accepted for who we are because we're still struggling to understand who we are ourselves. That misplaced sense of identity holds us back from showing up fully as who we are. So, what can we do about this? Crystal, you just spewed out a whole bunch of problems. A whole lot of problems. What is the answer? What is the answer? Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share this with you today, because what we can do about this is we can find ways to release that old limiting self-image, those limiting beliefs. You've probably heard me talk about limiting beliefs like 500,000 times. But we can find a way to release that old limiting self-image and begin to see ourselves as who and what we really are, which is worthy of love and capable of creating a life that we deeply desire. How? How, right? What can we do? Whoa, we can do something. How do we do it? In this pursuit of how, there had to be a process that would elevate the awareness of the negative impact that fatherlessness has on a female's life. Key words there, elevate the awareness. Remember when I said in the beginning, this is not blame, this is not judgment, this is not condemnation. This is elevating the awareness of the impact that fatherlessness has on a female's life. This process had to be result-driven, sustainable solutions, processes, strategies, tangible things to help women move beyond their daddy wounds and create clear vision for their futures. a process that collectively attempted to adapted, that collectively adapted to an understanding that fatherless women and girls are not broken or damaged. We are simply wounded. Our conclusion recognizes that all wounds heal when the right conditions are met and when given the proper antidote. And I am here with you today because I personally believe that that antidote is in Angela Carr Patterson's groundbreaking framework, The Journey to Being Process. And it's why I became a certified fatherless daughter advocate. I believe in this process so strongly. I became a certified advocate because I believe in this process so strongly. I am now taking this and sharing it with others because I believe in this process so strongly. The journey to being processed is based on a belief that a fatherless daughter's core issue is the result of a misplaced sense of identity and an intense desire to be loved, accepted, and validated. The journey to being processed rests on 3 pillars that are framed around the unique needs of fatherless daughters. 1, redefine who you are beyond your fatherlessness. 2, reclaim your worth and actualize the power of self-love. And 3, rewrite a new narrative for your life and create a clear vision for your future. Another reason I felt so drawn to this is because these 3 pillars right here are part of what I was already developing in my own coaching practice. See, love, transform. Being able to see who you are, being able to love yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, and being able to transform your life and move forward. So the synchronicities of what was happening with Angela Carr Patterson and her journey to being processed and all of the amazing work she's been doing with the Fatherless Daughter Network, they just lined up so well for what I was already doing and where my heart and my passion already was. So I feel like it's pretty easy to see why I was like so excited to get on board. One of the most powerful aspects of this particular program, at least in my opinion, is that it gives you the language around what's happening and why you seem to be repeating patterns and be stuck on certain things. Having the language to express what we're feeling and what we're experiencing is often a barrier. We oftentimes can't express it because we don't have that language. This program helps give you the language to say what you're experiencing, to look at it and say, oh my gosh, yes, that is it. That's everything that I've been feeling. Thank you. That was me. Thank you for putting words around this. But this program can help you break down that language barrier and finally start making some real progress in healing from old wounds and past hurts. So, as you can tell, I hope, I am very passionate about this, and I am so incredibly grateful that I have the opportunity now to share this with other women and with men. Because, see, we don't know what we don't know. And like I've said a few times, sometimes men are unaware. They've never been taught how to build a connection with their daughters. You know, we hear a lot about like the father-son relationship and the mother-daughter relationship, you know, that whole kind of paradigm, you know, mama's boy, daddy's girl. We hear that, but we don't understand really how important it is to have those relationships. And when we don't know what we don't know, I kind of feel like it's our job to find out, to figure it out. And that is part of this process, is finding out, bringing that awareness, bringing that education to those who are fatherless daughters and to those fathers who may not know the incredible impact for good or for bad, that they will have on their daughters' lives. So, right up here on the screen, you see this is what's next. This is how you can get more of this. I'm launching an 8-week program on the journey to being processed in the middle of January. We'll start on January 17th. This will be weekly group sessions. We will go through deeper detail of what it means to be a fatherless daughter. We'll talk about the 4 archetypes of a fatherless daughter. And we will walk through the 7 principles of the journey to being processed that will help you to heal your fatherless daughter wounds through love, acceptance, and forgiveness. If this is something that you are interested in, I have actually I've opened up some space on my calendar to have the conversation with you, to answer any questions, to see if this is something that feels right for you to move forward with, and just to be there to support you through this. So I've set up some of those times on my calendar. You can grab your space by going to the link that's right here on the screen, which is bit.ly/CME30. And pick your 30-minute time slot. We'll have a little chat, talk about it a little bit more, and then see if this is something that's a good fit for you. If it is, fantastic. I'd love to have you along on this journey. If it's not, that's okay too. No worries. Because you may not be in the space where this is a program that you want to go through, but the information that you learn may be something that is of value for your group, for your organization, for any number of things. When you think group, think any type of group that has women in it. It's kind of broad. It may be valuable for that. And I am also available to speak on the issues of fatherless daughters, to help groups, organizations, other entities understand what the impact is and how to move forward. I can host workshops for women. I can host workshops for men, and help them to understand the impact of fatherlessness for women, for girls, for females as they go through their life from childhood into adolescence, into adulthood. What can be done about it, how we can change, how we can move forward. Again, all a healing process. If you're interested in having me speak or host a workshop, just send me an email right down here at the bottom of the screen, crystal@crystalfry.com. Let me know more about your group, your organization, and we can set up some time to talk about it further. My friends, this is bringing us to the end. So as I close, if this has been helpful for you, if you have gotten value out of the information that you've heard here today, please share me with your network. With your friends, with your church group, with your community organizations, anyone that you think might benefit from learning more about the impact of being a fatherless daughter and how to heal and move forward. So I am very excited. Thank you again so much for spending your time with me today. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.